From Friday to fishing, we got all kinds of stuff going on in the springtime, and you included. I love it when the shows can actually come together and we kind of get to talk about what goes on. And I want to jump in with, you and I have had conversations about the boat.
Oh, yeah.
You deciding whether to get it out, and you were going to get it out before the big snowstorm last week.
Right.
And you waited, thank goodness. So can you tell us a little bit about getting that boat ready for spring, getting it out of storage?
Yeah, well, that's the thing about it. I like to miss one snowstorm, but I'm sure there's going to be another one. I'm planning on getting the boat out tomorrow, but you know, a lot of people look forward to getting their boats out of winter storage and hitting the water, but then they get out there and they have all kind of problems, and I like to bring my boat home and start checking it out along with the trailer and make sure it's ready to go, because a lot of the problems that you're going to encounter either by towing your boat someplace and back or to your boat once you get it up there, you can check things out at home before you leave the driveway, and that's what I like to do. I like to check my pumps out, make sure they're working. The batteries, of course, I've got an onboard battery charger that all I need is just an extension cord, and I plug it into the boat, and it keeps my batteries built up. But the batteries, as much as I fish, you know, you're draining them completely down, then you got to recharge them, and that's bad on the plates. And you got to monitor the condition of your batteries, because if it won't start, you know, I mean, you're really out of luck. And you want to try to eliminate a lot of those problems before you even get it out of the driveway, because it can really ruin your day. And that's what I'm planning on doing now. The boat's going to be dusty. I'm going to bring it home, and Tim's supposed to come out. We're going to do a segment, and I'm going to let him help me clean it up. You know,
I'd let him do the whole thing.
Well, he said we had to renegotiate the contract on that one. But yeah, that's one of the biggest things is preparation. I guess it all goes back to my Boy Scout career years ago, but I don't like to take a chance and haul it up there and not know whether it's going to start or not, because not only am I dependent on it, I'll have a fishing partner with me, and you're going to mess up his day of fishing too, if you do have problems. So.
But you also said something important that I think a lot of people forget that I didn't know about, but you said trailer, that you need to check your trailer as well.
Well, a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on the boat and their motor, which that is very important, and then they overlook the trailer. And what a lot of people don't consider is that trailer has to haul that boat and all the contents, say like from your driveway to the boat ramp, from the boat ramp back home. And if you neglect it, I mean, you can have a wheel bearing lock up at any time, and if you don't check it, frequently. I usually replace my wheel bearings about every 2 years, but I still take it apart, disassemble it, check everything, make sure there's no signs of pitted on the race or on the wheel bearings itself. I check my tire pressure every time. I've got some tire gauges that I always have in the boat, and I've always got them in the truck in case somebody else is pulling my boat. We can still monitor the tire pressure. And not only do I check the tire pressure, I also check the valve stems, make sure that they're good, because the rubber ones can dry rot over a period of time. And you got to remember that trailer's going in and out of the water quite a bit. And that can take a toll. Yeah. And golly, there's so many things. Even the winch on the front where you put your boat and you're winching on the front. People will neglect that, and now that can rust up and lock up. And if you get that trailer off the boat, it's not very easy to get in the water and to shove it back on the trailer. I've done that a time or two. So I always take some kind of a spray lubricant, and I make sure every moving part is working good. And wheel balance, alignment, I mean, it's kind of a never-ending process, but I'm a worrywart, and I don't want to get on the road and have problems, because I have it before, and I know what it's like. And I even carry extra wheel bearings with me in case I am on the road. Should I have a problem, I'm capable of repairing it, but I don't really like to. I like to.
Is there a good place that people can go to learn, or a checklist? Because let's just say we have that boat, and all of a sudden this stuff comes up, and you don't know anything about it. Well, how do they go about learning that stuff?
Well, with the internet anymore, that's a mecca of information. I mean, you could go on there and Google or any kind of search engine you've got, trailer maintenance or anything like that, or you can view my upcoming program because we're going to be. No, Tim won't be doing the dry cleaning and everything, but I'm going to go through it pretty thoroughly and. Step by step, and tell the people how I do it. And I think that could be a good avenue too, but you need to make some kind of an effort to make sure it's in good shape, because I've seen guys do the same thing with their vehicles, but especially if you're going to go on a 2-week vacation, you've worked all year, you save money to take your family to a place, a marina or a townhouse, out of state. And if you get down there and you're having boat trouble, that whole vacation is ruined. Not just for you, but for your family. And of course, my kids, they always like to water ski, and I've got grandkids, and they enjoy going too. So I don't want to get 3 or 4 miles from the boat ramp and experience a breakdown, because it can be a hard day if you're out there and it's 90-some degrees and you're trying to get back to the ramp and you're broke down, But like I say, it's a never-ending process, and there's always something that can go wrong. But with a little bit of preventive maintenance, you can eliminate most of that.
Now, let's switch gears a little bit, because springtime, everybody is thinking, oh, finally. You know that people are just looking out their windows. I know Sean was joking about the weather a little bit, but you know that the eyes are out there watching the weather forecast and things like that, saying, okay, spring is coming. What do people need to actually get started? Because different seasons require different baits, different lures, all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah, a lot of it, too, depends on what type of fishing you're going for. Now, pan fishing, of course, I always recommend basically using live bait, because like I've said in the past, you can take a worm, a bee moth, or a cricket and go to basically any body of water, and you're going to catch bluegill, you're going to catch crappie, perch, and fish like that. Now, so when you get to the bass, it's a little bit more.
That brings up another question. Pan fishing isn't just ordering fish and it comes out in the pan?
No, that's usually where they end up. So
I always thought pan fishing was I'll just have catfish.
Well, the reason we done that is because the way I always fished, I usually will catch a pan, and I'll catch an old discarded paint bucket somebody threw in. I've even got some new tires for my truck,
You just got a powerful rod and reel if you can get those tires up out of there.
Yeah.
But that kind of stuff, questions that especially somebody as unskilled as I am wouldn't know the first thing about it, but enjoy the time. My dad, avid fisherman, he takes his boat out. He lets us water ski. He lets us tube behind his.
Right.
It's one of those things that you've talked about many times, where it's more than just the fishing; it is the time.
Yeah, the whole time out there. I don't know. I mean, I grew up fishing, and to me, I struggle not understanding why other people don't enjoy it. But I understand that happens. But my whole lifestyle has been outdoors, and I made it available to my kids. Of course, we've got the grandkids and great grandkids coming up now, and hopefully I'm going to be around to initiate it into them too. But as far as getting back to what all you're going to need, of course, one thing, if you're 18 years or older, you're going to need a fishing license, of course. And so pick up your fishing license. You can get those at any sporting goods stores. You can order them online now if you want to, then just print them out and you've got them instantly, by going to the DNR website. You don't have to spend a lot of money on fishing tackle, especially if you're just starting out. We done a segment on basic stuff for fishing, and if you get into the bass fishing, that's when you're getting into your more subtle stuff that you're really going to be high technical deal and high maintenance, but you don't have to invest that kind of money in it. But I remember we used to cut tree branches down, tie a line on it, and we thought, boy, we were big time, but now everything's made out of graphite, and it can be pretty technical, but it's so much fun. But once again, just don't put too much emphasis on coming back with a lot of fish, because you're not going to do it every time. And it's about getting out there and making memories. I'm planning on making a lot of memories this year. Of course, we've got the 2 grandkids that hopefully, or the great grandkids, they're going to be a little bit bigger now to where they can use the rod and reels. I got them the day they were born, and hopefully when my cameraman and I are out doing some fishing, I'm going to get him in front of the camera too, and we're going to initiate him on his fishing career.
Now, I know you've been out a lot, and I know that you're gearing up to go out now.
Right.
Is there some bait that works better than others for spring fishing? Let's just say right around here at the reservoir.
Okay, if you're going for bass right now, think about using something that moves slow. The water temperature is still cold as the air temperature is, and that affects the bass's metabolism and the fish's metabolism. They're not going to be very active.
Okay.
They're not. If you go out there, don't go out there thinking you can throw a crankbait or a buzz bait and reel it real fast and that you're going to catch a bunch of fish, because they're going to be very lethargic. If you look out, well, I don't even want to go out and get the mail or the newspaper. Once it starts getting nicer, we're more active. Same way with the fish. I would say something like maybe use I'm going to be throwing a 4-inch finesse worm quite a bit, probably what they call a lead head jig and pig, something that's going to be a bottom contact lure and it can be worked very slowly, because the fish are not going to be very aggressive. They're not going to go very far to hit it. But if you put it close to them, they're going to be getting up in the shallows before too much longer to get ready to spawn. And that's where you're going to be looking for them. And try to find the warmest water temperature you can. If you're in a boat with a surface temperature gauge, I've always said that the surface temperature gauge in my boat is probably one of the most important gauges that I've got.
Really?
Where I can watch at. Because even 1 or 2 degrees difference can make a heck of a difference on catching fish.
And that's why they spawn up near the banks,
Yeah.
for the warmer
Right.
water that the sun.
Yeah, I told somebody once that was where you catch the bigger fish because they can't swim as well. They want to be shallow where they don't drown.
Please tell me they didn't believe you.
Well, I don't know. I doubt it. They hardly ever believe anything I say anyway.
We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be right back with more from Bud. We are back, and lastly, if they're just thinking about it or they're anticipating getting out there on the water, what do they need to know? Just basics for those who aren't the average angler.
Well, if you're fishing for the panfish, like we mentioned earlier, just remember, like, the panfish are very gregarious. They like to hang around in groups. If you catch 1 or 2, there's a good possibility without even moving you could catch 20 or 30 because there's going to be a bunch of them there. So if you catch a fish or 2, put you right back in the same place, and you should be able to catch a number of them. But like I always say, don't count your outing as a success whether you catch a lot of fish or not, because it's not going to happen all the time. But if you're out there with one of your family members or your friends, you're going to make a lot of memories. Maybe somebody's going to slip and fall in the water. That's always something you can, hold against them for the rest of your life. And memories is what it's all about, and just getting out there and enjoy what God's put out there for us. You might see deer, you may see squirrel, you're going to see some geese, and I enjoy seeing that kind of stuff. And I also enjoy seeing a fish on the end of my line, but I don't make that a high priority situation.
And speaking of memories, I'm really giving him pressure because I want Mrs. Fields come in, and you've heard his stories, you've read his articles, you know his point of view. But I would like to hear what actually happened. The real account of the fish was this big, and then she's like, the fish was this big, or he fell in. I really want the truth, Bud. I'm sorry to throw you under the bus. I want the truth, Bud. I want the truth of how things really go down out there and the behind-the-scenes look, and I think that she could give.
Well, I'm going to change my name from Bud Fields to Rodney Dangerfields because I don't get no respect.
Because honestly, I'm sure she's got all kinds. With this many years of outdoors, she's got. I'm going to call it the truth. I'm going to hang on to that. She's got the truth behind your stories.
Well, when I took this job, nobody ever said I had to tell the truth.
So that's what I kind of like. Please come on my show. He can be locked up in a room. We can find out what the truth is behind all the stories, all the articles, all the shows.
That would really be something. Do I have to be present for that?
You can be present. We can have you off screen in the camera. You can be shaking your head. So, and speaking of wives, I'm going to throw mine under the bus because we were watching a television program last night, and it's a new advertising campaign, obviously geared towards women. It's Zesty Craft Italian Dressing, and it features this scantily clad young man in the kitchen. There you go. He's called the Zesty Guy. Last night we were just sitting watching our television program, and I just happened to have my phone, and Bugsy was looking, so I tweeted, Deanna's watching these new commercials or something to that effect, but I know she's not after the dressing. And he tweeted back. So this is the picture, the tweet back to her from our armchair watching those television commercials last night. And if you happen to miss them or you didn't see them, there were several, but this morning I only could find one that we'll play for you right after this. But different commercials, and all it is about that Italian dressing. So it was funny. I'm throwing her under the bus because she said not to do it, so of course then I have to do it. So I'm sharing that with you.
But how did you get that picture of me without my
Good try, Bud. Thank you so much for coming in.
It's a pleasure, my friend.
I know you're going to do another outdoor story, and I really hope that he gets out there and helps you clean that boat off, dust off the...
Well, he said he's shaking his head no.
He needs to pick up that wax and all that, the Windex.
We'll play Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off.
So I appreciate you guys tuning in today. There's all kinds of exciting stuff. Please don't forget about First Friday. It is coming. Pick up this week's Kokomo Perspective. It actually hits streets today. You're in it as well.
Hey.
So, as usual. But there's all kinds of community events, and again, check out the website for Haynes Apperson. I know we did have that call yesterday, so you're definitely going to want to check that out. All kinds of exciting things going on. But, as I promised, and throwing Deanna under the bus, honey, I had to. Here is the very first commercial that we saw that ended up getting this tweet back to her because she's in love with the dressing. She's in love with the dressing, I'm sure. So, if you missed it, here was the very first Zesty Guide commercial. You guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.
Ladies, let's make a salad, shall we? This is the most beautiful pepper I've ever held. How zesty do you want it? A little? A little more? How about a lot more? Woo! Oh. Let's get zesty.